Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about basically some books I think are incredibly helpful and just foundational good books to get you on the right track um, in your thinking and basically help you know the steps and the process it takes to get what you think is valuable. One thing, one basic summary of myself when I look at the world and what do I want out of life. I think when I make it as simple as I possibly can, I want to know what is valuable. I want to know how to get it, and I want to act on those things, and I want to actually do those things that I learn. I think these books are really focused on the um, uh, how to get what's valuable, and then actually taking the steps and acting on that knowledge of how to get it, more than telling you exactly what is valuable. But really, really useful books. And I kind of want to go back after I'm just telling you what they are in this video, and then a little bit about each one. And then I want to go eventually and talk about, do a video for each book. But I think these things are essential, and I can't help but see them as almost gold. Like there's people out there that are successful that are telling you literally as best they can what it took to get what they got. They're basically telling you the program they followed, and you ideally, I mean, theoretically, you just repeat that, and you're going to get the same thing. It makes so much sense to learn from someone that already has, learn from people that are already where you want to be, and that's what these people are. Um, and I think if you read these books, you're going to be able to see patterns that you weren't aware of before. You're going to hear successful people talking, and you're going to be like, that's the same thing that this particular book says. Or even within some of these books, I don't think they're incredibly repetitive, but you're going to see some underlying things that are the same. And I think it's going to help emphasize to you, and you're going to have similarities with these people that are really successful. You're going to understand sort of the way they think, and it's pretty cool when you start seeing that happen. It's also encouraging when you start probably reading other books and you see, oh, I'm pretty sure that this successful person, um, in their book or hearing them talk, got this idea from this book. And a lot of self-help books are going to be referring back to these books I'm bringing you. Um, let's see here. Another thing is, uh, I think I mean, to get a lot out of life, I feel like, you got to know what's valuable, you got to know how to get it, and you got to act on it. Some of what I'm learning is valuable is, um, people, and relationships, and how pursuing what is valuable with people when you're on the same page and you're going towards that goal together, which is somewhat of what I want for this channel. I want sort of a community in a sense. Me doing my best to show you my take on things, but I want feedback, and I really want to be doing this kind of as a team, uh, giving my input and helping you, as best I can in this process, providing as much value as I can. But realizing, just for me to be a good friend, for me to have time and money to help someone, I have to have time and money. I have to have something to give. There's this saying, give and you shall receive, and that is accurate, but to give, you do have to have something. And that something isn't necessarily monetary. That mindset, that drive, that love. To have love, you have to have love to give love. And this is getting more philosophical than I meant. This is really about books, but I'm just saying, the usefulness of these are so wide-reaching and help build that foundation for you to be such a better person, to slowly improve every day towards what you want, and towards what is valuable. Anyway, I hope this is helpful. I actually recorded the front part of this video once already, and my audio wasn't working right, so I went back. But let's get into the books here. Yeah, change this. So I'm just gonna go through these books and talk about them really briefly why I like them and a little bit about what they're about. So the first book here is called Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins. Right now, I would say it is one of my favorite books for achieving what you think is valuable. It's a pretty big. Let's see here. It's not. I don't know. It's about this big. I don't know how many pages it has. Let's see. Out of curiosity, I don't know, 500 pages or so. But for a book that big, I would think it'd be filled with stories and fluff. It's actually not, which is incredible. And that is a book. There's different types of books. Books you would skim read and get the basic ideas out of them. And the goal is to learn and get useful information, at least for these types of books. Not necessarily read every word. Some of these books, though, I think you need to read every word, and it's worth it. And believe it or not, a book that big, especially if it's one of the first self-help type books that you've read, I think Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins is an amazing, amazing book. And it's going to have really simple, useful tools and ways of thinking and an outlook on life that I think will be really beneficial. And honestly, for me, about to become a parent here shortly, it's really useful for me too, because I'm just realizing a lot of these habits that people have that are really hurtful to them, that are easy to overlook, and are actually, they're actually hurtful. And there's something that when I'm raising my kid, I want to encourage good things. And even as something like that, like just me helping other people, this is helping me help them because I'm realizing them in a more analytical and just understanding way. And I want to encourage good habits in my kid. And that's something when I was reading Awaken the Giant Within, which, by the way, a lot of these books are books that, even though they're not particularly complex, I want to never forget their principles. And I kind of always want to be just reading at least one of these books kind of constantly alongside of others, because I want my mindset to be like, I want to be changing my environment and forcing that influence on me, because I think it's going to be so helpful for me and for the people around me to have these. Anyway, Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins is a billionaire, but he has a lot of his books are really valuable. I think there's going to be another one of his books I'm going to recommend here. But anyway, this is a great book to start with. And let's just go to the next one here. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. This is a book that, just because of the title, it sounds like narcissistic a little bit. Just like, thinking about getting rich. That sounds, like you're really full of yourself, or, it sounds shallow. And it's only shallow if it depends on your value system. If rich is your ultimate goal, I would say that is shallow, and I would say that's a misplaced value. But I would say if you're looking at wealth as a means to an end, and something that gives you freedom and the ability to support, the people around you, this is a really useful book for a mindset and things to think about, again, habits to form that will help you get what you want, particularly with ways of gaining wealth. And it's one of those books that's a lot of other books have kind of referred back to and rephrased what Think and Grow Rich says. A lot of these books are that way. I think they're kind of like setting the basic paradigm that is then emulated in a lot of other self-help books. But these are like in my opinion, these are some of the foundational books. And Think and Grow Rich is shorter. I don't know how many pages it is. I wonder if they say on here. It doesn't really matter. It's good information, and I recommend reading it. Sort of similar to Think and Grow Rich is 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Another like core self-help book that's almost everyone that's into this kind of stuff knows about, and rightfully so. It is a great book. It's by Stephen R. Covey. And the cool thing, man, I mean, the wealth of information and the value that these books bring is literally life changing. And look how cheap this is, $3.57. I mean, you can get the audiobook with your audio trial, I guess, for free here. But I don't know. It's amazing in a certain sense. The dollar value to what you get is so incredibly worth it. I think Napoleon Hill's, or sorry, Stephen R. Covey's pretty cool. He is very human, like a very caring person. He uses examples of his family, and I think they're pretty cool. It's another good book, not that long. What's next here? Okay, so this is another book. I think I have that book here as well. So I found out about Ray Dalio. He has a something like The Economy in 30 Minutes, something similar to that YouTube video. Pretty useful. I would say it's another foundational video for understanding the basic economy. He's got another. He had a PDF out for a while that was called Principles, and I loved it, man. My Myers-Briggs personality type is an INTJ, and I'm pretty sure Ray is an INTJ. Just the way he thinks, I feel like it's like my ideal self I'm reading. Like the way he talks and writes it was incredibly useful to me. But basically, the whole book, as you can probably guess from the title, is him laying out the basic foundational, break things down to their smallest parts and see what's there, and then to make it a repeatable, followable pattern for his success. Ray Dalio is was the CEO of Bridgewater, which is the biggest hedge fund company in the world, and he wanted to basically lay out his basic principles for creating a successful business like that, and getting the most out of life, really. Even in the book, he talks about how he wishes, Steve Jobs and some of these other, entrepreneurial, successful people, they haven't been really clear about the way they looked at the world, and he really wishes they did, and so do I. But this is his work of like laying things down and telling you as clearly and explicitly as possible exactly what truths and the way he sees the world, and the basic patterns he follows to gain success. And it's also, like I showed here, it's a little bit bigger book. He does have kind of thick pages. The first part of this book is kind of his biography, and him talking about his journey and sort of how he came up with these, rather than just telling you the basic math problems of life, of sorts, the equations of life, the principles. He goes through it, and that's another book. All these books so far, I recommend reading every word. If you want to go back and skim read so you remember them, obviously that's really good. But I go through with a pen, and I just write in my books, and it goes fast or as slow as I want. The goal is to learn. The goal is to shape your view of reality in a way that helps you get what's valuable and see what is valuable and understand things so you can dominate. Anyway, that's another good book. And I like that order, honestly, that I have, where the first three that I've listed, I don't think necessarily starting with one over the other is better. It may be less intimidating starting with Think and Grow Rich or 7 Habits of Highly Effective People because they're smaller. They're really good books. And I would put Principles lower down just because it's such a specific book in a certain way that I don't know. I think it might help to have the context of the other books when you read Principles by Ray Dalio. How to Win Friends and Influence People. Pretty much a book about what it says. It's another really, really famous book by Dale Carnegie. One thing I would say with this book is I would recommend not looking at it as a way to manipulate people. The authenticity of the outworkings of this book are incredibly important. I would just say that while things like he talks about in the book, like the importance of remembering someone's name, are true, it is important. But if you're just remembering their name because you want them to think that you value them and you really don't, people are very perceptive when it comes to social interactions like that, and just saying it really does, in my experience, pay off to actually be genuine and actually care and be doing these things because it's a way to show the truth of what you care and just good common practices of how to win friends and influence people. But it's a really good book. I think the relational part of life is often underrated. I think relationships and how to be a good friend, have friends, and like so much of the pleasure of life comes from good quality real relationships, accepting people, accepting you, and you accepting them, and then working together towards things you think are valuable. That is really sweet. And I think this is a very useful tool, and it's very popular for a very good reason. And definitely recommend that book. Rich Dad Poor Dad. Okay, so up until now, the books I'm telling you are more about mindsets, and they're not necessarily telling you what is valuable, and they're not as practical in outside of their, to use a huge word, they're kind of metaphysical. They're developing the conceptual side of things, how you think, good habits, thinking wise, but it's not actually telling you the way to look at your finances. So okay, so now to live these things out when it comes to finances, or when it comes to whatever the goal. The other books are more about how to set a goal, and I guess these how to win friends and influence people is a practical steps on people. So I guess that's an exception. But the first floor for here, Awaken the Giant, Think and Grow Rich, 7 Habits, and Principles are more conceptual books. How to Win Friends is more of an interacting. How do you actually interact with people? And then Rich Dad Poor Dad, another really simple book, kind of just emphasizing concepts that a lot of people get wrong about, what does it actually take to be rich? What does wealth even mean? Like one of the biggest thoughts of the whole Rich Dad Poor Dad book is defining what he calls an asset, which is simply something that is bringing in more money than it costs. And he tackles like myths of sorts or fallacies where a lot of people think that, oh, when I get my job, I'm going to buy a house because the house is, that's going to get me equity, and that's going to help somehow build my wealth. And that is garbage. Unless your house is bringing you more money than it costs you, it's not an asset, at least the way he defines it. And I think that way of thinking, realizing that building wealth comes from collecting assets, collecting things that bring you more money than they cost. I think it's a really easy book, really simple principles that you have to understand, and will help you get your mindset right for building wealth. Okay, back to Tony Robbins. This one's Unshakable. So kind of related to Rich Dad Poor Dad. This is about basically how to invest your money, kind of more focused on index funds and stocks and bonds and the right ratio. It actually refers to Ray Dalio a little bit in this book, and I think it's another very good book with easily understandable basic principles, a huge argument for index funds in general, and how he talks about like compound interest and how you just invest in index funds. You're almost guaranteed to be a millionaire when you retire. Really simple stuff. I think it's important that people with a business mind, people trying to improve themselves, give themselves more financial freedom and more freedom in general. I think these books are really useful to read. Definitely up there on the list. And then The Automatic Millionaire, almost offensively simple book. It's I don't know if I have that one here, but it's another book. I would say I've talked about environment, the importance of changing, making things easy on yourself, so you're pushed in the direction you want to go. It's a very big focus of what this book is about. Really simple things that not many people do that would help them become wealthy, like automatic withdrawing into a savings account or into automatically pay, into a 401k, setting those type of things up, watching, how much money someone is setting aside for things like coffee and those little things that are easy to underrate. Just talks about stuff like that. Really simple book, but if you follow these very simple, not even that hard of things to do, you will retire a millionaire. And I think it's important to realize, like I said, like these books help you shape your reality. You see these possibilities that you didn't see before because you understand them well enough to know they are possible. I think this is a book that is really helpful for shaping that. Like, oh, okay, I can 100% see you retiring a millionaire now. Now, you can start making it more of a reality. How do I retire early a millionaire? And I think these books are essential for getting you on your path that way. All right, so this book I have last because it is a little more specific. The other books are just broad foundational books. In general, the E-Myth is more towards, kind of like what it says, it's more towards a small business owner, and to help counteract and look at owning your own business a certain way, and it does fight back against common misconceptions and common ways of thinking when you're going from being employed to owning your own business that are really useful to think about. And I think it's another very simple book that is a foundation. You need this foundation to then do well. But I recommend that if you're thinking about starting your own business. A lot of times, like, the way it works is, you're at your job and you're starting something like a side hustle is what a lot of people call it. You're starting something on the side after hours or whatever that, in a sense, you're your own boss for this, whatever that is. And reading this book can help you do that well and have the right mindset in that. And anyway, guys, those are my book recommendations. I'm going to put the links to Amazon. They're not even affiliate links. I actually tried to set up an affiliate account with Amazon and they've canceled it 3 times. I'm not really sure exactly why, but that's okay. I'm still giving these to you guys anyway. I think these are great books and should really help you on your way to success. I can almost guarantee you you're going to be levels ahead if you read these books and take them to heart. Take them for what they're worth. Obviously, think for yourself, but consider these, and I think you're going to be a different person, and you're going to be able to. It's going to help yourself, and it's going to help the people around you for you to know this information. And just another note, like I was saying, for me, I want to find what's valuable. I want to find out how to get what's valuable, and then I want to put that into action. These books are on how to get what's valuable and how to put that into action. And I want to do a video on the more what is valuable. These books hint for these things to be true. You can make conclusions about a farther level down, but I want to talk about that too. But anyway, these are great books, and I think they're gonna help you a ton. And anyway, thanks guys for watching. If this was helpful, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. I think I'm going to probably review and do a video focused on each of these books eventually. If there's any of them you would like more than another, let me know. Anyway, I appreciate you guys watching this, and I hope you have a great day. I will talk to you.